Let me know when you've got everybody in. Okay. Make sure we get everybody in. Okay.
Can let's see, I want to, oh, okay. So this is,
Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome. My name is Jennifer West. I'm the Sacramento Film Commissioner. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Lori?
I am Lori Peterson, and I'm the executive director and founder of the Capital Film Arts Alliance.
Tommy Ross. The I'm just me. And I make films when I can. Filmmaker, business, corporate, political background. I get around.
Yeah, heavy hitter. All right, everybody. I'm just going to read some things here really fast. I want to welcome everybody here today for the peer panel review for the film grant program. We have 17 eligible applications that we are reviewing, and each of our panelists will take turns introducing the application by number rather than name and start the discussion. Just a few notes for any guests who may be in attendance. We're happy to have you and encourage you to stay for as long as you can. It often helps to listen to several application reviews to understand how panelists are looking at applications and to hear their comments. All attendees will remain on mute. There's no public comment portion of these review meetings, um, and panelists are basing their reviews solely on what they saw in the application. If for whatever reason your application is being reviewed and you hear a misstatement or something that was written in the application, such as a number that is misstated but clearly correct in the application, you may then put a note in the chat and we will bring it to the attention of the panel. Also, you'll notice that we are going through these applications pretty quickly today, but please know that the three panelists, even though only two are here today, have spent the last 2 weeks reviewing each application extremely thoroughly. And I want to stress this because I do get comments oftentimes from applicants after they watch these discussions saying, they didn't talk about mine very much, or, they didn't really they didn't spend much time on it and they spent a lot more time on other applications. So I just want to reassure you that the case is that they have spent the last 2 weeks going through each and every each one of the 17 applications. And these panelists spend a tremendous amount of time on your application. So even though we're kind of going through quickly through the discussion process, they have taken their time to review thoroughly. We'll go through each application in the order assigned, look at the treatment, and then ask the lead reader to introduce the applicant. Then panelists may weigh in on the discussion and finalize their scores. That's it. So we're ready to begin, and Lori is going to begin with our first application.
Okay, we have oh, hold on a second. I'm so sorry. We have a request for a project called The Gist. I'm assuming it's Gist, not Gist. Which appears to be a feature film. And there were several things that I thought were valuable about this film. The project itself, it really is a narrative that shows people in a lot of different perspectives. We all can relate to this, and so it becomes a topic that I think would be very um, watchable. I know that's not a word. Anyway, the film, I thought, again, there were some Northern California artists, musical artists that were incorporated into the soundtrack. I love that you can take a story and local talent and at the same time incorporate a whole nother level of talent into the project. So I like the concept and character descriptions. I felt like, hold on a second, look at my, it, the dramatic roots and that it was well written, it made me want to know more, read more. So that was my first review.
Okay.
Tommy, did you have anything to add
Tommy?
to that
Yeah,
application?
I'm going back to this because I've got to admit a little confusion because I'm looking at film grant application number 1, and
Lori, were you on number 1? It's called the Disciplines of a Craftsman.
Disciples of the Craftsman.
Oh, Disciples.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I heard something about the gist or something like that. So
Oh,
just
no. You're right. I'm so sorry. I apologize because that was the title of their overall sentence. Disciples of a Craftsman is in fact the story. And yeah, I'd like to see that be a little more visible in everything that they're doing because I think the title tells a lot. So in going back to that, I know I can't add anything. I'm not changing any points, but certainly just in a good proposal.
okay.
Okay,
So
sorry.
So just wanted to make sure I was on the right one. Thank you for that. But I want to begin by saying this. Thank you all for submitting. And as Jennifer said, all of these projects are taken seriously. And I speak from one who has submitted a project in the past and been turned down, didn't take it personally, worked hard to get the project done, and was inspired by that to work even harder. So for those of you who do not, are not awarded a grant, don't take that as any sort of stopping point. Hopefully you'll take that as incentive and motivation to move forward and get it done anyway, as I did, just speaking from experience and having gone through this process. My comments were, and I'm going to sort of not go through them verbatim, but just my observations from both an educational and just sort of a reaction perspective. So I'm going to read this, so pardon me. I wrote that I especially liked the submission of previous project that demonstrated the ability to deliver. Would have liked to see links to other listed projects and other projects were listed, but there are no links that were provided. Budget shows $150,000 for equipment on a $320,000 budget. And I wrote a question mark about that. It references in the description to unique production models of doing more with less. And that's a great description and a great goal, but to have sort of examples of what that means, because that's sort of an aspirational statement, because everyone wants to do more with less. But did you have any examples of where that was done that you wanted to model? I saw 97,000 plus in confirmed deferment column with a total budget of 320K. It's a $22,000 gap, 20 to 40,000 crowdfunding, and 10,000 needed to do a film done well. Not sure, to be honest with you, what all that means, to be honest. So I graded, moderately on the budget and moderately on feasibility. Having said all that, an example of a previous film which was compelling suggested a potential for completing this project, even if the entire budget is not raised. Otherwise, I would have graded lower on confidence and budget. So in other words, showing what you've done was a good move, and I wish you luck.
Great. Thank you for those comments. All right, and you'll probably see us looking back and forth to our different screens in order to run the meeting, look at your applications, look at our notes. It can be complicated, so bear with us. All right,
Yes.
Tommy, if you want to head to the second one for us.
Okay, so and again, I am going back and forth, so not trying to avoid eyeballing the camera, but and going to my notes. Okay, this is a production grant for a, let's see, let me go through this. Sacramento Health Check, monthly 1-hour television program, and an online broadcast program designed to address crucial health topics pertinent to the residents of Sacramento County. And I'm using the words that were a part of the application, so to describe the project as the applicant described it. My comments were, again, just reading them because I want to be accurate and thorough as I can be. It's an important topic that should be covered. However, it seemed more duplicative of the kind of information already available through reporting on other platforms. While the submitters have clearly demonstrated the ability to do this kind of program, my main concern is that they seem to be looking for a grant to cover the entire cost without commitments from other funding sources. Makes me wonder how their previous program was funded. They say in proposal hotel nights are required, but under the hotel section, they say no hotel nights, but have a hotel relationship in case one is needed. So again, the nature of the grant program being reimbursement, and I just didn't know where they plan to get their money since they're looking for this to cover the cost of the project.
All right, Lori, do you have anything to add?
No, I think those are very good points when it comes to what the budgeting issues. I felt that the project feasibility, again, just because of what they had and what they still needed to do, they're a little ways away from that being fully feasible, I believe. And in general, the topic I think is great. And I think the thing you could look at is how do you teach this content to all generations? The key is make it interesting and easily understood or done in a different way. So that would be an interesting perspective to show. Things like animated drawings and figures and on screen, there's all kinds of things that you can do to engage viewers, especially of earlier ages. So that was really my thought, was kind of what Tommy said, that it's information that we've seen, but what age group can we appeal to?
Okay. All right, thanks. Lori, we are on to number 3.
Okay, can't move too fast now because I got to scramble around here.
It's okay. Take your time. Do you have number 3?
Okay.
Okay.
This is a short film that is called Uh-Oh Clown. They're looking for production production costs. I think the interesting thing about this particular project is it's written by a talented woman here in Sacramento. I do know this person, but I know of her, and her 6-year-old son wrote this treatment. So how that appeals and what that is representing is very interesting to me. Anyway, short 10-minute film, and when you've got kind of a combination of a mystery and historical. It's really kind of an interesting twist. I really hope that this is something that can be particularly, even though, like with a lot of productions, we don't have some of the costs that visiting productions do in terms of hotel costs and all of that. I think that there's a lot of good opportunity here for not only local people, enough local people to be involved to really see the value, but knowing that this is something kind of a project that they would be proud to be a part of. Um, my specific, yeah, I just think it's a very interesting story. The concept is unique, and the dedication of this particular filmmaker is formidable. So if if not through this project, you know, securing the team that they need to make this happen is the next step. And I'm certain that she will be able to do that. So I felt very confident about uh, where this could go. Um, yeah, I liked it. I liked it for all of those reasons, and the beat and the feel. You know, the description of it. When I want to read the entire script, then I know it's something that's worthwhile.
Okay, great. Thanks. Tommy, do you have anything to add?
Uh, only that I appreciate Lori's information here. She didn't say anything that I would disagree with. I would only add that this is clearly an experienced filmmaker, no doubt about that. And it's for that reason that I scored some confidence that this will be delivered. As with some of the other projects, my only real concern was the commitment of funds, and it looked like the grant is intended to fund the entire production. And and I just want to remind everyone once more, Jennifer, if I can be so presumptuous, that, and for me, and I suspect that this would apply to Lori also, if we're getting something wrong in our understanding of what your grant says, like when I say stuff like, it looks like the grant is intended to fund the entire production, if that's if that's a misunderstanding or if that's inaccurate, I mean, jump in there and let us know. I mean, there is no
Well,
problem
well,
with being
it,
corrected on this stuff.
well, in order for them to be able to in the chat say that you've said something wrong, I mean, they can't add anything to the application. So if it
Oh,
wasn't in
no,
the
no, and I'm only,
application, yeah, if it wasn't in the application that they stated, that, oh, this is how it's being funded and only a portion of this is coming from this grant or whatever, or self-funded or however it happens, it has to be in the application itself for them to
yes, and
correct it here.
my only point was if I misinterpreted something or misread something,
Gotcha.
clearly not trying to seek additional information.
Yeah,
Well,
gotcha.
or them for them to understand what might there if there's a point of confusion, how that can be clarified. So in their next submission,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
or however it breaks down. So yeah, I agree.
And that's what a lot of this is. I mean, obviously there's 17 applications and only 4 grants will be awarded today, right? So, a lot of this discussion is really just a learning lesson for these
Hmm.
applicants to learn how they could do better next time. So, just wanted to reiterate that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so uh-oh, Clown and Tommy, did you have any other notes on that? And
Nothing that I didn't already share. No, thank you.
Okay, so moving forward
okay.
then, Tommy, if you could do number 4 for us.
Yeah, number 4 is, and again, I know you have stuff on the screen, but I'm going through my review document so I can refer to my notes because I tried to add something at the end that I wanted to share with everyone. So the name of this project is Soul Note, the story of Kirk Andre Wilson, a production grant for $10,000. Um, it looks like to me, and again, I just wanted, just like with the previous a filmmaker, to state my admiration that again, this is clearly an experienced filmmaker with a plan to execute. And I'm reading my comments. It looks like half the budget is in place. Not sure where the rest of the funds come from, but it seems, but this is a substantial application and they're experienced enough to find it. I like the way the project is described. lessons included, and it seems relatable. So this is a project that I liked.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with that. I would definitely like to see where they take this. It'd be kind of cool to have a clip of Kirk's voice, or any examples of what was shot in 2024. The storyline itself sounds really engaging. I'd like to see more on the marketing plan, for a film like this. This is something that you're putting a lot of effort into. So, uh, and then regarding your local crew, I don't think that we had any reference to whether or not they represented a marginalized race or community themselves. And that is just information that's helpful. It can add a point or two where it's important. So yeah, but in general, I voted this one also with uh, high feasibility. So if we can, you know, if there's somebody that qualifies for the money, that's, something that I think that we're all comfortable with, that they can actually complete it and deliver something interesting.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to number 5.
Okay. Feel like I'm running a marathon.
Sorry. Trying not to keep everybody here for the full 2 hours.
Okay.
Meanwhile, giving each application thorough review.
Well, just at the point where I start figuring out, you know. Okay, hold on one second. Let me check. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. This is number 5, right?
Mhm.
Got it. Box. Sorry. All right. So this is a production request for, looks like a short film. It's called a Horror with Purpose short film. Tu tres míos. No, I'm sorry. Tu tres mío. Tommy, am I saying that right?
To
To Edis
to
Meal.
Edis, yeah.
Tu eres. Okay, I cannot actually see that, but yeah. And from the specifics,
Uh-oh, did we lose
oh,
Wi-Fi?
no. I'm just trying to find my note on that specifically. Uh I wasn't sure how much of that budget was already secured, so more detail there again would be helpful. And then the synopsis, which when I originally read this, I couldn't find the synopsis. But anyway, when I went through there, being
So
able to
this one
understand the nature of the story and the characters and so on. I recognize this is something that is possibly going even into a higher rating. I wasn't quite sure about that. Uh, this is not my style of film, but this is something that I think uh, if there's a path for it, in a distribution standpoint, then it could be, something that is worthwhile. I think there's some effort and there's some things that they put into it. It's just needing to be fleshed out a little bit more.
So I will add here that it does say that they're prepared to put in 15,000 of their own funds,
Mm-hmm.
and that they'll be crowd funding for another 10,000. So they are stating their funding in there.
Okay.
And I got to jump in here to say that that was one of the highlights of this application. To me, it was different kind of concept, and I kind of found it interesting. But with their budget and a commitment to use 15,000 of their own funds, and again, I'm reading my notes, it looks like they are ready to go. Their plan seems to be to raise what they can from other sources, then use their own dollars for the difference. From my perspective, that shows commitment on their part. Thus, I gave them high confidence rating of completion, and they seem clear on the reimbursement nature of the grant program, which was very important. So, I kind of like this.
Yeah, so as we go through here, if you guys are, if you do need to change your scores, you can do that until the end of this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to make any changes, make those now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving on to number 6.
That's me. Okay, let me go to number 6 and go to my notes.
How do I change any
So you just go into, I think, is there an edit button, Diana? In under the review, you can
yeah,
pull up, click on your name, and then you should be able to go in and edit. We'll take a second here, Tommy,
Okay, no problem.
until we get Lori.
I mean, I've got the categories and the point values, but
Are you seeing how she can get in there, Diana? Okay.
review list.
Okay, just a moment. Diana's working on the back end. Hold tight. Unless you just want to make a note of this one, and I'll give you a few minutes at the end to go back and change your scores if we want. We'll take a few minutes for you, Diana.
I'm just thinking we're not even halfway done. So if I have other
Hold on.
ones, then
What is it, Diana? Just one second. Technical support on the way.
yay.
So under hers, there will be a little pencil. She clicks on that.
Okay, so before you click on your name, Lori, can you go back out? So go back to list in the upper left.
Yep.
And then click on number 5.
Okay.
And then on the right-hand side, are you in the review tab?
Yep.
Okay, is there a little
Oh, there's an edit button
yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's not showing on mine, so.
Oh, so
But
that's
it should be on
probably
yours. So then you can go in there and
that's good to have on screen, I think, as we go through this then. Okay, cool. So
okay,
just
so
back.
so you go ahead and do what you're doing there. Tommy will go ahead and introduce number 6.
Okay, so number 6, we go to, again, I like to use the applicant's words to describe what they're proposing. So Against the Odds, Sacramento's Rising Entrepreneurs is a documentary series spotlighting diverse female and minority business owners who will overcome adversity to build successful ventures in Sacramento. And then it goes on to discuss each of the episodes. Um, I have to be candid here. The idea of doing stories about diverse entrepreneurs, and not that every application has to be unique, but this is sort of a constant theme that we can find on television, public television, local news, and so forth and so on, where folks are featured, personal stories, insights, and local perspectives are added. My main challenge with this one was that the proposal seems to depend on the grant for funding the entire project. And with that, my confidence level that it can be done was rated low.
Okay. Lori, did you have any notes you wanted to talk on that
I
one, or are you still
did.
catching
I
up?
did actually. This was a project that I felt a little more confident in. I felt confident in their ability to deliver. I like what they have done. I thought the proposal was organized and thorough, and I thought that this was also a great idea for a series. And, you know, the plan for what they're going to do with it is always something I'd love to see reflected. And again, yeah, the funding. We're assuming that you did not have any funding at all, and to have confirmed that one way or the other. But in general, I I think that this is something that, you know, is a message that we really haven't seen uh, to be told in a way that is local and I think almost historic in nature because you're capturing a moment in, you know, our society in time. So I like the idea of this recognizing all of these different kind of subcategories of, you know, what this is all about in our region. So I'm not sure. No, we're keeping it within Sacramento. That's right. Yeah, I felt very positive about this, and honestly, uh, this is something that just to make a point, you know, Jen,
Mm-hmm.
uh, every one of these is submitted in a different nature, in a different format, in a different font, in a different what's on what page, where you can. I find that,
You mean with the attachments?
uh, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and how they're formulated and what they provide. And when you get a good one, it's really just so much easier to understand, you know, how to find the answers to your questions as you're trying to judge. And in this case, you know, we're judging so many of them. It to me, you know, it probably made a difference because
So
I was
you're saying that so in the attachments that they attach, whether it be budget or um, treatment or like
or
all of
even where
that,
they're answering the questions that are very specifically uh, accounted for in the review. You know, I
Mhm,
want to know this answer to this specific thing.
mhm.
How much of what's the percentage of the budget funded? And sometimes that's not shared. What um, demonstration of previous product, you know, sometimes that's there. It just seems like, and granted, not everybody's going to have the same background information to share. Uh, but I just find that I spend a lot of time
Mhm.
on some of these grants just looking for the information to before you even get into the project itself.
Right. I think that one of the biggest tips that I tend to give applicants is, you really are, you have to understand the rubric, and the rubric is exactly what is being scored for. So I always encourage applicants to look to the rubric first. Make sure you completely understand the rubric because that is going to tell you how you're going to get points in this application. And then with the rubric in mind, then you turn to actually writing your grant, right? That is the best way I see forward. And the people who do it successfully and the people who are granted really have an amazing grasp on the rubric and know exactly how it's going to be stored and or scored and how they need to get their point across to the panel, so that it scores higher. So that's just good advice to all of you that are listening. Thank you, Lori.
I just want to echo what Lori just said because there were some and it's not a criticism, but there were just some applications where there were just discrepancies between what the narrative said and the budget. Budgets were formatted so differently. I had to search back and forth, why isn't there a number here? They said they had the number. So echoing what Lori just said, but also Jennifer echoing what you said, and that is the fact that the rubric is there, you know, follow the instructions and make sure that it's done in such a way that it lends clarity. Now, people might interpret it differently, thus coming up with the different types of information and the way it's formatted in the application. But I think a strict adherence to the rubric would get everybody on the same page with us as to how we evaluate and can understand the projects that they're submitting.
And
Yeah.
Jen, do they see, so as an example, the review list that we have in front of us here and that we're judging, that we're scoring by,
No, they don't.
they don't ever see that in its raw form of
Correct.
here is the order in which, that information is being sought. Because when the information is 3 pages deep and it's the first question on the review,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know when they should either
So-
understand that or
Mhm.
we should just suck it up and,
Well, so here's the thing. The review that you guys are working from in order to do your scores directly follows the rubric. So again, I will just say applicants need to look and understand the rubric and then apply that to their application. And that's how, and
Yeah.
also make sure that everything's consistent. If you're saying you have this many number of hotel rooms, we better see money in the hotel budget in your actual budget. If it's not there, that is a mismatch. And so we're going to question that, and panelists will likely score you low for that. So it is a checks and balance, a constant checks and balance. But thank you guys for those comments. We really need to move on.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Where are we? We're on
We're on 7.
7. Let's sing a song. That's 7. Okay. Give me a second. Edit. All right. Let's see here. This looks like just a rollicking little comedy. It is a production for a short film, production fees for a short film that I'm sorry. Yeah. I was thinking it was a series at first. Okay, so as a short film, and I actually, the log line is an eccentric grandfather drags his skeptical granddaughter and her overworked teacher on a wild goose chase through Sacramento in search of buried treasure. Along the way, the unlikely trio discovers that the real treasure lies in the memories that they make together. Um, Super cute story idea. Lots of opportunities throughout this to showcase Sacramento. So therefore, it reminds me of a place called Sacramento Script. In that's a big focus of it. But I think that it would be, it'd be a really cute film to see them make. I'm just not sure if it's the kind of thing that we're looking, for with the grant. And it certainly doesn't provide any real uh, revenue reimbursement opportunities and things like that. It looks like most of this is being done just on the fly. But cute, cute. And some of the people that they're referencing in the film, just made me smile because I know who they are and what that adds to it. So I think as far as a family kind of comedy goes, that's the beat that they're hoping to hit if they can get this made. So what did you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I agree with the cuteness. I call this a and just as going forward, I'm really heavy on understanding the reimbursement nature of the grant and if they have any outside funding in order to actually get the project made before seeking reimbursement. So I called it a well-intended, sincere proposal, but again, seems to look to the grant to fund the entire project with little to no funding from other sources. With all of that said, it was unlikely in my mind that the project would be completed. And as far as advice and guidance was concerned, it was being positive and constructive that they might want to consider a smaller scale short for experience, maybe explore with their Access Sacramento contact and research developing a budget.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I need to clarify in the chat really fast if you can just hold on. If you could just tell me in the chat, the person that just asked the question is definitely it's self-funded and by donations, currently have 40 plus volunteers cast and crew. Was that this application that we're discussing right now, the Digging for Freedom? If you, okay, yes, it is. Then I just need to double check and make sure that this was listed in, how are they funded? Our project, so it does say that our project is self-funded through crowdfunding. We have reached out to local businesses looking for donations and crowdfunding as much as we can with family. Yeah, so they're just saying that they wanted to point out that it is self-funded. If that changes because they do mention that in the application, if that changes your scoring at all, go ahead and feel free to make those changes now.
Are they saying in their self-funding that they have the funding to make the movie?
They do not say that.
Then that's my concern.
Got it. Okay. All right, thank you. Let's move on to number 8 and Tommy.
Okay. So we are at number 8. And again, I know you have it up on the screen, but I went to
Yeah, the screen is just for the people participating. You guys don't need to pay attention to that. Just go to your notes.
okay, got it. Okay, this looking for the name of the project. I'm so sorry. Because I see the description.
I don't look like what I've been through.
This is the one that's local sponsorship by community leaders, Jay King and so forth and so on. Number 8, treatment storyline. I don't look like what I've been through. Thank you. If incarceration didn't bring her to God, then maybe escaping death would. Okay, got it. Here we go. Now, it's going to be kind of long comments, so bear with me. My reaction was that that I couldn't reconcile various parts of this application to understand how viable it is. There is an amount for hotel in that section that's not reflected in the budget. Question regarding sponsorships. If the idea of this application is to present that they have sufficient funds to make the movie with sponsorships, thus being fully funded, and the grant application is intended to reimburse those costs, then to me, this application would look a little different and it would be a better one. How realistic is the 5-day shooting schedule with multiple locations, but very small amount for locations in the proposed budget? It's difficult to follow. Given those factors and no film experience, it's difficult to give it a high score. Now, I'm being critical here because this seems to have all the makings of a good application. Uh, but how those sponsorships fit into this, the budget as presented, the schedule combined with limited experience of the producers makes it hard for me to push it forward as presented. I'm wondering if the sponsors can be kept in place and this application can be modified to address those concerns. Maybe bring on someone who has filmmaking experience to help organize, produce, and shoot, and give them a producer credit to help advise. So, in other words, I would like to see this application presented in a different way to clarify the funding issue, and then bring on someone who has some experience shooting. Because I liked it. I just needed to see a different application.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the project is just not ready. I think they need to secure some other strong crew titles. And in general, I like the idea, and I tell filmmakers all the time, don't rush it if you believe in it. You have to make sure that the timing is right, everything is shaped up and polished the way that you want it to be. I'm finding that a lot of your costs in your budget are unreasonable, unreasonably low. I don't think that, you should underpay people. You should understand what their day rates are. And even if you can, get a good deal, that's something that you should be aware of within your budget and what you're setting up for. Because if I was in a union and I saw that, I would definitely score you low. Anyway, but I just would like to see them spend more time. I agree with Tommy. The proposal itself was one of the better ones in terms of readability and finding the information. It's just that the information that was provided was a little squishy, I think.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you for that. We are on number 9.
Hold on.
This is all great advice, you guys. I think this is really giving the applicants an opportunity to see what it is you're looking for, why you are seeing a disconnect that you're seeing, giving them information that they should put forward next time if they don't receive the grant. So this stuff is really important, and their panel's bringing up good points. So thank you guys for your comments. And I'm trying to answer everything in the chat as quickly as possible.
Yeah, mainly as I'm reading all of these, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I want them to find the CFAA. I want them to find a community that can kind of help them grow whatever that skill is that they seem to be lacking or whatever. So there's a lot of really good raw talent that we're seeing in our region. That makes me happy. Let's see
Okay, so we are
here.
on to number 9.
Yes.
I'll say this is a production grant. It is for a music video. And the title is...
Oh,
title.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Is there?
Maybe they don't, they may not have a title. It's just a,
Yeah, I
it's a
don't
music
think
video.
I don't think they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, hold on. I'm started flipping through the files and now I would need to get back to the beginning. I love music videos, so if something can be created for that, it's something that from a production standpoint are one of the more entertaining things to actually produce. It's always a good time, and it's a little simpler because you're not working around a script. So the storyline or skit is pointing emphasis on community involvement on minority groups and all other groups to come together and enjoy a positive music experience can impact the Sacramento community in a fun, positive way that will bring family, children, friends out together while also supporting minority local Sacramento businesses. That is a long sentence. The character descriptions, the main characters bringing together other local members of the community to make a music project that has a positive message behind it in the film, or in the filmers will capture behind the scenes before and after video and interview other cast members about the overall experience. You know, this is something that, wait, where is my review? I want to find my notes. This just looked like a fun kind of project. It didn't seem to meet some of the objectives that we were looking for in the grant itself, but the introduction of it, really wasn't clear that that's what it was. The budget I felt was confusing. No location details. I'm not sure where that's taking place or local resources. Would have liked to have known more about the crew experience that would have helped ensure greater confidence in this project. So in general, I think it sounds cute, but I don't, without having any kind of examples of music or something that we can relate it to, or examples of previous work that was done. Yeah, I think we've still got some need to work on this. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, reading my notes, not too lengthy, but verbatim. To be candid, I'm not sure what this project is. The idea of making a video about the making of a video is interesting. They don't seem to have any funding committed, and several of the parts of the application repeat, showing of the budget, which itself is not clear. My thought is that they might want to regroup on this one. It could be quirky. I kind of smiled, as I was thinking about it. So it could be quirky. It might even be appealing, but the application needs more work. The project needs more clarity and did not provide me confidence that it could be completed. My advice would be to see if you can provide a link, as you said, Lori, a link to something similar that can help reviewers get a sense of your vision. And as with other applications, see if you can find someone with filmmaking experience who can help organize the project and application. If no money to pay them, I always go back to that old standard, offer a producer credit for their contribution. And so I'm not sure what the answer is to funding, but at least start with a well-organized project. And I think that Lori made a good point earlier. When you have, try to reach out to resources like her organization, the CFAA, where you have people who are filmmakers who are experienced, and a lot of those people would be happy, to take you under their wing, go to their meetings, and listen to people who've produced films, who've directed, who've done sound, who've done budgets, and so forth and so on. And that would go a long way toward helping you clarify what you're trying to do. Because yeah, I thought this idea was quirky. I thought it was cute, but without any examples, I couldn't visualize. It's sort of a Seinfeld feel. I mean, quirky, yeah, but I
Mhm.
just needed to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to 10.
Yeah, we're on number
10, 10, 10. We're halfway there.
All right. And I'll see if I can make my notes shorter this time. Hold on. Let's see. 10, looking at it. Production grant, $10,000. The title is Gloria, short film. The proposed project is Gloria, a poignant, visually striking drama in the form of a narrative short film that explores the powerful conflict between familial duty, cultural expectations, and the pursuit of personal truth. Is that sapphic drama? Is that what that word is? Um, and so, so my comments were, this one were brief. I thought this was a very good application from an experienced filmmaker who has clearly worked hard to position this project to be completed. So that's just my way of saying that good job.
Laura, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was kind of jealous that Tommy got to talk about this one because I felt like it not only was a good project, but the proposal itself was done well.
Mhm.
So thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, I found Gloria to be an intriguing story that should be shared. I I write my notes as if I'm talking to the filmmakers. I don't know if they ever actually see them, Jen. So I'm not writing to you in here, Jen. I'm writing to the filmmakers.
No, and they do. So occasionally, applicants will reach out to me and ask for additional guidance, and then that's when I take the additional time to really thoroughly go through it, make all of my notes. I take all of your notes, and give them just everything that I think they could do better on the next application. So your comments are absolutely necessary for the applicant.
Okay, cool. So I found to the filmmaker descriptions to be compelling, and I was very impressed with your earlier efforts, where you came from, and who you trained with. I recognize that you made some really good choices along the way, and you've worked with some really good people. That tells me what you're learning as you go. And for you to see you be able to escalate from entry level to running this kind of a project, that's just something that's very impressive. I have no doubt that you will be one to watch in
Mm.
Sacramento. Your thoroughness and completeness of the grant request made this a pleasure to read, and you were deserving of this high score of probability and everything that I shared. My only suggestion, if because it wasn't listed in here, would be to add an intern or two
Mhm.
with the intent of shadowing some key personnel to learn on-set procedures and protocol. So interns are a whole different thing than PAs. You've got a ton of PAs, but bringing them in to work with some of your key personnel is something that we like to see for sure. But I feel confident with this, and I look forward to seeing what they create.
So I think this is a good time to just sort of say, you both have said that you really enjoyed this application. Can you please give me a couple of specifics about what it was that this applicant did right in their application? And this is for everybody listening at home.
Well, for me, it's the experience, the clarity. It was very easy to see their vision, and it was thorough and it was complete.
Yeah.
So there is no one thing that I would point to. It's the application in its entirety that was easy to follow. I didn't have to wonder. I didn't have to search. I didn't have to go back and forth. Everything was right there, spelled out and follow, easy to follow. They followed the rubric, and it all led to someone who knew what they were doing, who knew what they were writing, and clearly was well positioned to do what they said they would do, that they wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
agreed. I mean, again, I thought the story, no question, looked good, but when you pair that up with um a proposal that not only answers all the questions, it answers them correctly. Like I said, I think any reference to intern was the only thing that I didn't
Yeah.
see that would have made it, a perfect 100 or whatever.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, no, I think in general, it starts with uh, the readability of your proposal.
Okay, guys, that's very helpful. Thank you. I hope everyone at home found that helpful. Let's move on to number 11.
Oh, that's me. Okay, hold on. 7:58. Okay. All right. These are all production requests. But this short film, it's a proposal for a a feature film, approximately 90 to 100 minutes, so a feature film. And it's a dark comedy drama titled Father. Um, the log line, which explains a lot, is after the sudden death of his father, middle-aged man spirals into grief and unexpected reflection, confronting unresolved memories, generational trauma, and the absurdity of masculinity through a journey laced with dark humor and raw emotion. In reading the synopsis, it uh, it was something that what it reminded me of. I think that storyline it would be appealing because it really studies the relationship between the father and the son in a way that you don't see very often. You don't see that type of male to male focus, emotional focus in films. It reminded me almost of a male-centered Lady Bird. And with its focus is set in Sacramento and so much of Sacramento being reflected in here, for some reason, I thought, oh my gosh, if they could capture that kind of magic with that level of dialogue with those actors, cast and crew, they could have a huge hit. You never know what's gonna happen, what can happen. Um, I saw that you are working with a really great creative team. You're using some of Sacramento's best vendors. I think my only comment was the budget is sloppy and the proposal could use better consistency of information placement and overall design. I made a note that said readability matters. In looking at your previous work, I was impressed at the variety of styles shown and how you managed to shift gears as a filmmaker. You kind of went all over the board and you did well with each one. So good to you. I must say, I usually, if I have to review something, and you're providing a link of something that you've done in the past, I don't watch the whole thing. I just kind of get an idea for it, get an understanding of what you've done before, what your role is. And I think both of yours that you included that were past projects kept my attention all the way through the end. So that tells me something right there of what you're capable of. So I felt pretty confident in what you guys would be able to do with this. Tommy?
Okay, so my notes were experienced filmmaker willing to invest his own funds for a project, shows commitment in his work, might need to take on an additional investor or more contingent on getting a grant as part of the production cost can be reimbursed. I'm wondering about the shooting schedule, seems a lot, and not sure about how much is being shot, number of pages, etc. Uh, Last part of the budget format was poor, and so I don't know what that's about, especially for an experienced filmmaker. So the last part of the budget, I just didn't understand it. But couple of the links to previous projects didn't work, but what I did see was impressive. And so when you've got an experienced filmmaker prepared to put in your own money, uh, all things considered, I still ranked it high on confidence it can be made given your experience. But that budget thing, you gotta clean up in the future.
All right, thank you guys. We
Oh.
are,
We don't have a 12 or a 13.
no, so Lori, you are recused from 12. So if you want to shut your camera and your mic off for this while Tommy goes through this next one, that would be helpful.
Okay, so we are on number 12, which is, we go to the title, go to the treatment. Narrative roots, we're on narrative roots, 25 years of community storytelling, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Observations. Okay, and obviously experienced film production, obviously experienced in film and production, and providing valuable services to the region. It's what they do. Looks like even without this grant, the project will be completed, which begs the question, should grants instead go to filmmakers who have raised funding at personal sacrifice and tenacity? Which shouldn't be a factor. It's like, what does the application say? But that was just one of my side thoughts. Bottom line is that I liked it and I scored it very high in terms of confidence in their ability uh, to deliver. They know what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. And for those watching at home, I just want to let you know that as a part of this application, it was found that they might be interviewing Lori's organization. Therefore, she recused herself from this application, the scoring at all. So this application was scored by others, not Lori. And that's how we do it here. It's virtually impossible for the panelists to not know somebody involved in a project, but when they are directly related and possibly stand to gain anything, whether it's financial or, any sort of benefit, then they recuse themselves. So that is why Lori did not score this application. Just if you had any questions about that. Okay, so Lori, you can come back on. We are going to move now to number 14. Yeah, she's number 14.
Is that Tommy?
That's you.
No, this one is you. So 13 was ineligible and 14, we are to you now. We flip-flopped
Ah,
from evens to
We
odds.
went from Oz to even. I don't know if I can handle that.
You've got this. I have faith in you.
My God. Ah. All right. Okay. Hold on one second. I just want to get back to. Okay. So Mav is a short film, and they're seeking well, they're seeking the entire grant. They have a production budget 11,900. What I can't tell you is in short exactly what this film really reflects, because they only provided the entire budget, or I'm sorry, the entire script, not any kind of a synopsis, or which is terribly helpful when we're trying to take the time to go through all of these different steps with the.
So Lori, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
There is a part in the application that says, tell us about your project. And it says, Maeve is a 20-minute short film that will remind you of a classic noir suspense film like The Maltese Falcon, The Usual Suspects, Rounders, and The Sixth Sense. It's a thriller that will encompass the greater Sacramento area. We will follow the two leads and the corresponding voice of reason on a night of gambling that will positively change the lives of the main protagonist. So
Why don't
just
I
so you
have
know,
that?
you do. It's in the main body. It's not in an attachment. It's in the main body right under their address. It says, tell us about your project.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
may
I
need to
don't
go
have.
back but you know,
Yeah.
so read through that briefly and then maybe Tommy, do you have any comments about this one since you
Sure.
did see that part?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. My comments, again, reading them, is that they seem to be funded, prepared. It's a good combination. I like that they offered examples of the kind of feel for the project. I'm wondering about the cost of locations and any extras that might be required to give it some production value. The only example of their experience was a music video, which was entertaining. Uh, uh, this is a good application, but I would really like to see, again, as with others, a person on board with experience producing narrative films. My confidence level would actually be higher if that were the case. Other than that, I like it.
And just for those people at home, lots of times when you're talking about experience of cast, people put this in their treatment. So they'll have, this is what it's about, and then they'll say, and this is who's directing and what they've done before, and this is who, um, is our cinematographer. So those are just tips and tricks how to get your crew across to showing that they are professional and have done previous work, or you can put it in the previous work demonstration of previous work experience in the attachment as well. Okay, Lori, do you have any other
So,
comments?
the notes that I had, because I like the script, the script in general, I felt like it still just needed some work. The story was a little confusing and the characters needed to be drawn out some more. Um, I was I kept waiting to see how the hearing aid would be referred to, which in the case of, the what we're looking for in some of our judging, someone who is hearing challenged could be a good storyline. And they introduced it, but then there was nothing done. And so I kept thinking that's really interesting. That could have been a whole nother level of empathy or some story that line that they could have incorporated, because there really wasn't there isn't any reference to marginalized communities, and I didn't also see any reference to that information on the cast and crew. So when we're looking again to, rate it based on the rubric, those are all questions that um, when I go back and do my notes, I'm kind of like, are you sure you didn't want to do that? But no,
Okay,
that was what
so
I,
and so then based on the fact that their synopsis is in there, Lori, if you want to change your score, you can. And we can give you some time while um,
um,
Tommy
no, I don't think that that's
introduces them
gonna
as well.
make any real difference.
Okay.
I read the script, which, took a significant amount of time just for what I was doing, but I read the script so that I would have that understanding. But I really appreciate hearing a synopsis in the writer's view. It's kind of like your pitch, your elevator pitch, that's going to sell your movie to so many, people. The synopsis, I think, is just a really, really important piece of material that should be written so that they can use that in describing it everywhere.
Okay. So 15 was ineligible. Tommy, you have the privilege of introducing our one and only post-production
Okay,
application grant.
sure. A $5,000 post-production grant and behind the apron. And again, using their own words, Behind the Apron is a powerful documentary that explores the often overlooked mental health struggles within the food and restaurant industry. And I got to tell you, for me, this is a really interesting project. Post-production, obviously, meaning that you've already shot it. And I suspect that my concern about this application will be addressed in the actual film, but it's hard to see from the trailer and the performance, which was really good, was really moving about the marginalized community representation. But I assumed it's there due to the subject matter. And then I wrote, I hope, because the performance, the trailer was moving. But what I really would have liked to have seen is excerpts from interviews of the actual workers to help seal the deal, as opposed to the video that they had, which didn't give me that clear feel for what I think they were trying to get across. And maybe they were just trying to do it in an artistic way, and maybe I just didn't get it. But I will say, I just didn't get it. So I just would have loved to have seen some interviews to allow me to understand the impact of what they were trying to do. That would have sealed the deal. So just going on faith that the project itself, since it's done, that they'll actually have those interviews, but would have liked to have seen that represented in the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
Alrighty.
good point. The images that were represented in the link that showed a style that I thought was very unique, and I hope to see something like that in the documentary continue. The topic itself is real and it's important. I applaud the effort to tell the story, and I know that Patrick Mulvaney has just put so much into that opportunity, not only to support people in that industry with any kind of mental health issues that they may have, but also development of just the knowledge of it. So I think that this is absolutely worthy of funding. I think the topic, they've already got an agreement with PBS. I'm assuming that that is confirmed, which, they're not looking to make money from this. They're looking to get exposure. And I think we should help them do that. I mean, I definitely am confident that they can get this done.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to find my mouse. There we are. Okay, we are on 17 of 19. Lori, if you could introduce this one.
Hold on. Can't read and scroll at the same time. Okay. Okay, so the film title is Deadly Inheritance. When six coworkers are summoned to a house to claim a mysterious $2 million apiece inheritance from their supposedly deceased boss, a night of cold pizza and camaraderie turns into a deadly game of trust, secrets, and survival, only to reveal that the greatest betrayal is yet to come. So this absolutely struck me from a script standpoint of something that was, it resembles a lot of the most highly watched shows that are being made today and that are out there. And so I think in any of those scenarios, uh, to, you know, it's all about putting the right pieces together. And if you do it the right way, it can just take off. So make sure your script is so sharp, so ready to go, and that you take the time to cast it also. Don't rush into production. That is something I think that, you've got a lot on your plate here that you want to get accomplished, and sometimes the mistake is made to um, start with step, 10 and hope that you can back it up. So I would absolutely recommend that you know, don't do that. Just if it's worth it, it's worth you taking the time. I felt like, the demonstration of your previous experience, you had showed that you've got all of the other, you know, boxes ticked in a accessible way. Um, Trying to remember what the can't remember the examples of. So the above the line is all, oh, we have three local, that's right. So we have, definitely some of the local hires that are being reflected here. And that absolutely, I have to keep enlarging the font because it's very small on my screen. Let's see. Yeah, again, I thought it was one of those, actually, I did, in looking at the initial link that has the video on it, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. And when the action started, it literally made me gasp and step back. So I don't know if that was the intention, but anyway, Tommy, you have any input?
Yeah. I thought, again, just reading my comments here, I thought this was an interesting concept. Uh, and I actually liked it, but I could not reconcile the presented budget that does not include hotel, while the hotel section says 28 hotel nights and,
Mhm.
and no price. So so it's good to have an example of previous work, but it was difficult for me to translate that given the budget and the schedule. I couldn't see how that would translate into a multi-location shoot. So budget schedule needs some work and perhaps an additional source of funding to handle production costs. But the concept I thought was really interesting. Again, I just thought it needed some additional work.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We are on number 18.
Okay. And okay, that's to me. And so we've got production grant of $10,000. Production title, short film, Sleeping on Water. And uh, just short comments. I mean, talented group, an intriguing topic, but the funding not being in place was my major, major concern.
Lori, did you have any comments on this one?
Mine were, really around the concept of the film. I thought it was interesting. And again, I can imagine with the right cast and the right filming environments that you could really enhance the flashbacks to really change the story images throughout the ages, which again calls for making a lot of time and having money to assure the right art design and set decoration. In something like this, you don't want to cut corners while you're trying to, show us something very specific. Um, but yeah, I think that this is an interesting story, and uh, yeah, I'm was supportive of that getting made.
Okay, awesome. We are now on our final application. Lori, number 19.
Lori.
Okay, hang on one second. Oh, yeah. This is okay. The Sunfield Flats incident. This again goes into like as they describe it, a slow burn descent into terror. And I think that they've got some really interesting imagery and ideas. The concept of the lead character, the synopsis is Dean never wanted to come back. After earning a film degree in the city during the vibrant 80s, he returns to his small hometown, broke and disillusioned. His younger brother, Ben, resents him for ever thinking he could leave, filling the house with silence and passive aggressive remarks. Their parents, cold and distant, leave for the night, an absence that feels too deliberate. As darkness falls, strange occurrences begin. The power flickers, the radio crackles with distorted voices, the old television screen glitches, showing images of their own home shot from somewhere outside. Then the knocking starts. I'm going to leave it at that. But I mean, what I found is that everything that I was able to read really took me to where I wanted to read more. I wanted to see what they had done with this. And it's quite apparent that, when it comes to budgeting, some of the things that filmmakers ask for and price are things that they need to work on. So that would be the only thing I would say. Make sure that you're in fact going to be able to do what you say you can do. And don't over, estimate the deals that people can give you. You need to really understand what is their day rate and what can you expect to pay that. So yeah, that would be my recommendation, certainly with production. Um, I thought, I hope that you have a good location in mind because your set design demands are going to be huge. They seem to be a primary character in the film too. It's a creepy storyline. It made me want to read the whole script. And so I absolutely would like to see this made. And I don't even like horror movies. So this is something that grabbed my attention, even maybe your new kind of fan. Tommy, do you have anything there?
Just very briefly, that I also like the concept of this project, and like Lori, I had a little bit of concern about the budget. Scored low on experience and feasibility because no directing experience, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt given their onset experience.
Okay. All right, everybody, that was our last application. So we're going to go ahead and close the meeting here, but if you would like a further deep dive or to read the comments from the panelists, feel free to email me, jcwest@cityofsacramento.org tomorrow, and I will do my best to go through them and try and get you, if you didn't receive a grant, to a point where you hopefully will in the very near future. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you guys. And again, thank you to my panelists, Lori and Tommy. You guys are the best. Thanks for showing up always for me. I appreciate it. The next round of grants opens November 15th and closes January 15th. So Again, in the meantime, if you want to contact me and we can work together on improving your grant application, I'm happy to do so. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye,
Hey, Jen,
everybody.
I have a question. So,
Yeah. Mhm.
is there a point